Hello, everyone. I know I look terrible. Usually, if I do a video, I clean myself up, but this is actually quite fitting for the subject matter. So for this episode 2 of me teaching writing, it has nothing to do with writing. It's actually more psychological. One of the hardest things as a beginner, and even throughout your career as a writer, but especially at the beginning, is doubt. When you start, you're so self-conscious about your writing, and even who you are as a person, and what the hell is your why, your purpose to your writing. You don't know what you stand for, or if you'll have a clear purpose as a writer. And that's why you can't look for that answer at the beginning. Because if you try to look for the answer to why you should even bother even attempting to be a writer, you'll never make it. Because you'll be putting so much pressure on yourself to be successful that you'll end up freezing. So when you start as a writer, it's not about starting with a goal in mind of being successful or even getting published. But it's better to just write for yourself. Overcome doubt, it's not something that can be done overnight. And I say that because I went through trial and error to even put pen to paper for a long time. And it's because before you can really take a chance on yourself, you have to believe in yourself first. Not a lot, but just enough for you to even write like a sentence or even do a writing exercise. Because you think so hard about what you're trying to say that you don't put anything down. You're so worried about the execution or even the outcome of what you're trying to do. Because when you do your writing, it's not about what am I trying to say? What am I trying to do? It's about understanding who you are. Because in the end, the most important, the most difficult thing about being an artist is being human. Being human, especially in a very raw fashion, is the hardest thing to do. And the way I could really explain this is, consumerism, where we fill our frickin' brains and our eyes with all this useless information and garbage called entertainment, or TV, if you want to get specific. And that's why we authors have such a huge responsibility, because we're not just trying to entertain people, we're trying to make people think. And generally speaking, especially now, people don't want to think when they indulge themselves in a story, whether it's on screen or on paper. They just want some kind of escape. And that's why the gaming industry is so huge and will continue to grow, because although there is critical thinking involved, especially if you're doing like a first-person shooter kind of game, but they just want some kind of escape. They don't want to think about their feelings or reality. They just want an escape. But through that escapist mentality, there is some kind of truth. It's some kind of through line that the author or game creator has to put in. Because subconsciously, the gamer, the viewer, the reader is thinking about something within the storyline of what they're planning or listening or watching or reading. Fuck. My anxiety has always gotten the best of me. Over the years, I did learn how to manage it. But the truth is, I've always been afraid of my own vulnerability. It's probably the reason why I keep pursuing my dream of writing. Because through storytelling, I'm able to take a lie, a fictional story, and tell my truth. There's a repeated saying in the world of writing, which is, storytelling is the truth within the lie. And what's so poetic about that is we all have our own truth that we want to tell. But what is so hard to accomplish with that is being able to tell that truth without being fearful of ourselves. And the funny thing is, for me, my personal journey in writing is that my writing only started like when I actually decided to just go for it was the day my mom passed away. Like a few months after, with the grieving and everything. But the trouble with that, writing after tragedy, when you're still raw, is that you have no clarity. Not just in your path to life, or even your creative path, but a clear idea of who you are and what you're meant to do, where your life is going, if it is going anywhere. And that's why if you're someone like me who tends to create more stress than needed, not because you don't trust yourself or you don't know what kind of person you are, but it really is just you're so concerned about where you're going in life that it really eats at you when you're trying to work on your craft, especially at the beginning where you're forking over money that you've earned and you don't know where it's going in terms of how you're investing it in yourself and your creative path. I mean, that's really what stops people from trying anything innovative or passionate, because it defeats the purpose of survival. But what's the point of surviving if you're miserable doing it? It's ridiculous. And I can't say that I'm not one of those people. I'm not the common, what's the term? It's not really a term. Jim Carrey once said that we disguise fear as practicality. And it's because, as human beings, we're taught to survive. You know, that's why most people have a 9 to 5 job, or they go to school specifically for industries that they know that they can thrive through and be able to feed themselves. But as much as I want to feed myself, I don't want to die knowing that I did that. That I managed to feed myself without having to rely on someone else's dime. Rely on my own dime, my own efforts. But then, if I do that without having actually incorporated an actual meaning to my life and who I am, what's the point? Now I know I'm supposed to say something uplifting, but the reality is, any creative path you take takes time. And that's why you have to keep going at it. Sure, you can go and get a day job while you work on that, but you can't forget yourself. You can feed yourself and keep going on a creative path, but you have to remember that you're a human being. It's not that you have to keep trying to achieve something creative till you burn yourself out, or until it happens. It's more so creating some kind of meaning. Because in the end, we're all basically these individualistic bodies of flesh and oxygen that speak out words and try to make some kind of sense of life, right? I mean, you can have a one career that you truly love and truly believe in, and that you can accomplish great things with that. But as Jim Carrey once said, this is another quote, life doesn't really have one meaning, or any meaning that's concrete. There is ideas. So, let's say your name is Joe. That's not you. That's an idea your parents had for you when you were born. That's essentially one kind of character that has been embedded in you since birth. But it doesn't mean that that's who you are, or what you are. We all have time and the ability to seek what is out there for us. So you can have several meanings in your life. What that makes you, who that makes you, is up to you. So, to be self-conscious about your writing, I don't want to say it's stupid or childish, But you shouldn't be worrisome about the outcome of a certain idea you have for what you want to do. You just kind of have to run with it, regardless of whether or not it goes anywhere or doesn't. So if you're a novice writer or artist and you're doubting yourself about putting your work out there because you're worried of what people might think, or people will love it, but you'll notice all of the things that really bothered you in terms of detail, just try to let that go. I know it's not easy, especially if you're a perfectionist. But to be an artist is to be human. So, take what you will from today. And if you ever have these moments like I'm having right now, where you just feel really raw, just beaten down by life and terrified of everything, terrified of yourself, and if your life is going anywhere or not, just remember that that's okay. No one knows what they're doing. They may act like they do, but no one knows what they are doing. We're all just trying to fake it through life. Yes, successful people are able to keep their success going. But deep down, we're still trying to figure out what the hell we're doing. One of the hardest things to do, for me at least, is believing in yourself, regardless of the repetition of life. That's the one thing that has always driven me crazy, that has scared the freaking hell out of me, is feeling like life is just this stupid pattern that doesn't end. This cycle that can literally make you crumble to the ground repeatedly. But you just keep getting back up. And then when you find yourself back in that cycle daily, it drives you insane. Especially because you think you're trying your hardest to break that cycle, to break that pattern. And wondering, well, is life even real? Are we actually in some kind of like computer generated program, and there's aliens on other planets that are basically making characters do certain actions and then just go through a cycle over and over again because it's just fun for them? But that's a rabbit hole that you shouldn't go through, because if you go through life thinking that you have no meaning, you're just some kind of hologram, you may as well give up. And that's a terrible thing to do, because if you give up and then just stay on the ground while heavy rain pours down on you, it might as well not exist. So if you ever feel like life is pointless, remember that that's only because you've tried so hard to do one thing. Try to do something else. But Andre, I want to do this. It's like, well, then try a different way. You can keep trying to do something one way or several ways, and it might just make you burn out. So the question is, did you take a step back and actually ask yourself, what am I trying to do? What do I really want? So that's the message. If you're feeling anxious, fearful, doubtful, write it down, go through your process however it goes, and then try to make something creative out of it. Maybe take your dark energy and turn it into something beautiful. doesn't have to be something creative. It could be something entrepreneurial, or you go to school for a new subject. I don't know. Everyone's process is different. But don't give up. I know this video will seem like I'm saying give up and that I seem like I'm giving up, but really, this is just me trying to be comfortable with my vulnerability. That is my biggest fear in life, is my own vulnerability. And I'm trying to overcome that. I've always had trouble looking people in the eye because I'm afraid that the closer I get to them, the longer I talk to them, the easier it is for them to see me as a vulnerable person, to see my sadness. Not sad, but I'm such a transparent person that if I put my guard down and not worry so much about my vulnerability, I'll become even more afraid to make connections with people. But I've learned that I am who I am. I love who I am. So I shouldn't be fearful of my vulnerability. And neither should you. It's not easy. Sure as hell takes a long time and never really goes away. You just kind of grow with it. Yeah. Alright. I'll put some information below. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them and I'll make sure I answer them with care and attention. But most importantly, what I want you to take from this video is nothing negative. Okay? I understand that the way this video went was pretty raw, pretty upsetting. But I'm just being myself. I'm just being real. So, okay. Keep your chin up. Have a good day. Bye.